Всем привет, дамы и господа, с вами Алекс Азаренко. Топ-20 самых безумных фокусов, когда-либо выполненных. Watch.
But be very careful that you don't put the ball into the wrong pocket, because when you go flick, everybody claps. Why do they clap? Because when you flick, you've got a lemon.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the wildest and most unbelievable illusions ever filmed. Number 20, Metamorphosis, the Pendragons. This illusion has been around for a long time. Although it was invented back in the 1800s, it was most famously performed by Harry Houdini. Typically, an assistant is tied up and locked in a box. The magician climbs on top and holds up a curtain. When the curtain is dropped, the assistant appears on top of the box, then opens it to reveal the magician tied up inside.
Ну это, кстати, пизже, чем просто трюк, знаете, с обручем, когда на телку надевают обруч, и она уже в другом наряде. Вот это более эффектно.
Jonathan and Charlotte Pendragon's version was best known for how fast the switch occurs. Even if you can figure out how Jonathan gets out the box and Charlotte gets in it, it seems impossible that they should be able to swap places so quickly.
Скилл, мастерство и дохуя тренировок. Мастерство это синонимы, блять.
Number 19. Number 19, Vanishing TV Camera, Paul Daniels.
You're probably wondering why the celebration for a little wooden box. Let me tell you why.
Magic shows on television often claim there are no camera tricks involved, but this illusion is a camera trick. That is, Daniels makes an entire TV camera disappear while it's filming.
I'm going to walk over here so that you can see camera 2. This is camera 2, you see, and at the
Hi, mama, я в телеке.
back there, did he give a little away then? Cheeky devil. No extra money for that, you know.
Daniels locks the huge, heavy piece of equipment into a wooden crate along with its operator.
Надеюсь, зарплата оператора не исчезла так же, как телекамера.
As a forklift spins the crate around, we have a continuous view of the camera's
Теперь мы сбросим этот ящик с обрыва.
live feed. Daniels then takes out a starting gun and fires it into the air. At that moment, the live feed stops and the crate collapses, revealing nothing but the confused cameraman inside. With tricks that impressive, no wonder Paul Daniels' TV show ran for 15 seasons.
Кстати, сколько лет оно шоу? Там вначале была дата.
Celebrate.
79-94, охуительно.
Impressive, no wonder Paul Daniels' TV show ran for 15 seasons.
Так, охуел. Goodbye.
Number 18, a floating light bulb, Harry Blackstone Jr.
Because I promise you, this will be something you'll remember the longest day you live.
One of Harry Blackstone Jr.'s most famous tricks starts off with an amusingly jovial tone, and keeps it throughout. He begins silently, miming some funny gestures with the light bulb. The first time he makes the object float, he appears to absent-mindedly release the orb into the air, earning laughs from the crowd. His act escalates as he hands the bulb to the crowd to prove its authenticity, culminating with Blackstone sending his trinket flying
Блять, представляю, как было некомфортно челом ее трогать, потому что она нагретая, сука.
across the
Я
room.
помню, блять, на практике я разогревал сковородку, меня приобнял мой бро. И еще одного моего бро. И у меня мизинец нахуй об эту сковородку. Я такой, блять, пидорас, сука, блять, больно нахуй.
Some have insisted that it's one of the greatest tricks ever done, even implying that it is miraculous. One thing's for sure, the unfolding of this trick sure had his audience mesmerized, and the whole thing invites cheerful rewatchability. Number 17, the human body, David Berglas.
Very simple thing for you, a little complicated for me.
This one admittedly looks more impressive when it's done as a close-up street magic trick, but David Berglas, one of Britain's most famous magicians, was known for doing it on stage in front of hundreds of people.
I'm going to ask you to take my pulse. I know you've done that
Окей.
1,000 times, 1,000,000 times.
Потому что вы врач.
But I'm going to ask you, instead of counting with your watch or looking at your watch, I'm going to ask you to actually indicate what you can feel.
As the two nurses take his pulse, he makes his heartbeat slow, and
И в конце концов...
eventually stop altogether. Even weirder, the pulse stops in each arm independently. You might assume that the nurses are plants, but if you watch a street magician do the same trick with strangers, you can see their baffled faces as the pulse winds down and stops.
At this moment, I think we've got them back to normal.
Number 16. Card drawing, John Dorenbos.
So I just gotta add
О, поехали, American Got Talent.
a few clubs. Watch the ace. That would have been good though, if I could change it. That would have been good.
From professional football player to magician, John Dorenbos
Блять, а нахуя мне творить фокусы с мячом, если я могу творить фокусы с картами?
did indeed play in the NFL for 14 seasons, where he was known for showing off magic tricks to his teammates.
Ребят, смотрите. Мяча нету.
He appeared on America's Got Talent the year before he retired and wowed the judges
Так, у меня скоро пенсия, что делать? Блять, схожу на шоу талантов.
and the audience with his magic.
Hey, John, welcome back.
Thanks, man.
А где мяч?
For those that
Чё, опять его заставил исчезнуть?
don't know, John is an Eagle. He's on the Philadelphia Eagles.
This trick gets our vote for the best of his repertoire. Dorenbos invites guest judge Neo to pick a card, but he doesn't just guess the card correctly. He draws a deck of cards on a piece of paper and somehow makes Neo's card rise out of the two-dimensional image.
No.
There you go, Neil.
Judging from the look on Heidi Klum's face, the illusion is even more impressive in person.
That 5 has been drawn on there the entire time. There is your ace.
Он заценил.
Number 15.
Я
The
забыл, как его зовут-то, блядь. Саймон Коуэлл. Ой, точно, Саймон Коуэлл. И я хочу себя профануть. Саймон Коуэлл. Филантроп, плейбой, миллионер. Сколько ему? 65 лет, блядь, у него охуительная жизнь. Он столько всего своим внукам может рассказывать. Вот на одном из выпусков пришел фокусник и на бумаге нахуй карту поднял.
art gallery, Darren Brown.
Whoever catches it, you throw it again over your shoulder. Whoever catches it that time, you throw it one more time. This gets thrown 3 times.
This is mentalism at its finest. In addition to being a magician, Brown is also a painter who creates caricatures of famous people. When one
Я заставлю оранжевый цвет Дональда Трампа исчезнуть.
of his paintings is displayed in an art gallery, he takes the opportunity to perform an incredible psychological illusion in front of a group of people.
No one knows what it is. Now, I've been obsessive about this. Not even
It is what it is.
our film crew know what this painting is. But you, Steve, are going to tell me what the painting is. You just won't know how you know.
After choosing a volunteer at random, Brown asks the man to think of a celebrity. He continues prompting the man to cycle through different names in his mind until Brown is confident he's settled on the right one. Then comes the big reveal.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Orson Welles.
And of course, the man has guessed correctly. We can't even begin to guess how he has pulled this one off.
And that's who it was. It was
Охуеть.
freaky.
Number 14.
Сами вы фрики, блядь.
Multiplying pocket watches,
Фокусники это охуенные чё.
Richard Ross. Richard Ross starts this routine with a pocket watch. As he proceeds, more of the timepieces seem to appear out of nowhere. With such speed, you miss them even if you don't blink.
Опа, смотрите, у меня невидимый карман в руке. Ха-ха-ха, блядь. Га-га-га.
Ross then enlarges his act, literally, by pulling out oversized watches from places that they seemingly could never fit. By the end, he's dangling half a dozen
Блядь, это разъёб.
oversized fobs from his hands. Not only is the concept of this trick impressive, but Ross's execution is as smooth as a
Блядь.
choreographed ballet.
Это куча цепей для флейва, флейв.
When he combined all of that with his
Этот американский рэпер любил носить на себе часы. Да до сих пор он, блядь, любит это делать. Он, когда на Грэмми появлялся, он был в часах.
fierce stage presence, Ross had an
Ну, С часами.
Unforgettable illusion that he would go on to recreate multiple times, and each performance was filled with applause from the crowd.
Оп-оп-оп-оп. Будильник нахуй.
Number 13. Phone calls Dynamo.
I wanted to see if it would be possible, if only for a minute, to create a connection between everybody in one of the most iconic places in the world.
Stephen Frayne took on the name Dynamo back in 2001 when he was just 18 years old. Since then, he's toured the world performing for sellout crowds. He even produced his own short TV series in which he travelled to major cities to do street magic.
Any one colour?
Alright, blueberry.
This one right here?
Yeah, right there.
For this episode,
Сейчас они все исчезнут. Блять, у меня оказались эти бабы во рту.
in New York, he first chooses a young couple and magically causes their cell phones to call each other without even touching them. Then, incredibly, every cell phone in Times Square starts ringing at once.
New York City boy, you'll never have a born day. Пиздатая песня под Shop Boys. Я думаю, этот трюк тоже пиздатый.
Everybody from the back. Everybody from the
back. Even if the first two people wear plants, surely the entire crowd can't be in on it. But perhaps most shocking is that all those people
Это кто? Босс? KFC?
People actually had their phones turned on.
It's like something out of a movie, like everybody's phone is ringing from the same number. How does that happen?
Number 12. The Crossbow, Hans and Helga Moretti.
Сейчас я выстрелю себя из арбалета и выживу.
This one is less a magic trick and more just a really dangerous stunt. Hans Moretti was born
Бобр, курва! Як пердоле! Сидим с бобром за столом, вдвоем на ужин готовим полено.
Johanna's crew in Poland all the way back in 1928. He and his wife Helga were known for performing death-defying feats on stage, including playing Russian roulette with actual loaded guns.
Игра в кальмара, второй сезон, до того, как стал известен.
This act involving a crossbow seems just as crazy. Moretti does several different versions of this stunt, including one in which he shoots an apple off his wife's head, over his shoulder, and blindfolded. And did we
О, заебись.
mention that he spun in circles before shooting, so he's also dizzy? Helga certainly places an amazing amount of trust in her husband.
Жена, ты жива? Да, она жива.
Number 11. Death Dive, Robert Gallup.
I'm not quite ready to be inside of it yet.
There are dangerous magic tricks, and then there's this. Gallup's legs are chained together, his hands are handcuffed, and he's stuffed into a mailbag which is locked from the outside. He's confined in a giant metal cage and dropped out of an airplane flying at only 18,000 feet. He has just 60 seconds to escape the shackles, bag and cage and get to the parachute attached to the outside.
This was real. This was straight up. These were real locks. These were real handcuffs. This was a real jail cell. This was a real mailbag. Everything about it was as real as it possibly could be.
Ugh. Even if the locks and chains aren't real, there's no faking the fact that he's plummeting toward Earth at high speed. If he can't get out of the cage fast enough himself, it's unlikely that his assistants will be able to help him in time. I mean, our hearts are racing just thinking about it.
I think that was truly in the spirit of Houdini.
Houdini, охуедини после этого трюка. Какая, блядь, ирония. Я король совпадений, мать его. Он тоже нахуй упал.
Number 10. Chop Cup, Paul Daniels.
And the only time you should worry is if I sneak it into my left hand. Because if the ball's in my left hand, it's in my left hand. If it's not in my hand, it's under the cup. If it's under the cup, it's not in my hand at all. If it's in that hand...
One of the first magic tricks the world has ever seen, a cups and balls routine involves cups and disappearing balls. Paul Daniels, however, puts his own twist on the classic trick.
In the pocket, it can't be on the can, same time it's under the cup. If on the other hand the ball and the cup are together, then the cup... You're not following this, are you?
With an act that could even put stand-up comedians to shame, the godfather of modern magic keeps his audience engaged with his unique brand of British banter, while the ball appears and disappears impossibly quickly in this version of Chop Cup.
Where is it now? For £50.
It's, in your pocket.
In my pocket. In other words, it can't be under the cup, right?
Right.
Wrong.
Итак, кто получает 50 баксов? Ребят, кто получает 50 фунтов, а? Кто получает 50 фунтов?
Now this trick...
Нет, 50 фунтов.
The trick usually ends up with the ball turning into a lemon, and we still can't figure out how. The former magician
А теперь вы можете продать этот лимон за 50 фунтов.
of the Year sadly passed away in 2016.
Святая память.
But his Chop Cup performance is still one of the best because of Daniel's showmanship.
If you'll clap that, you'll go mad over the orange. I don't know where that...
О, еще и апельсин, заебись.
Number 9.
А лайм у вас есть?
Jackhammer swallowing, Thomas Blackthorne.
Эй, вы, наверное, знаете, как работает молоток, вот этот, но... Я еще раз покажу.
Sure, sword swallowing was popular back in the day, but to keep up with technological advances, Thomas Blackthorne decided to go more modern.
А в следующем выпуске после глотания отбойного молока я буду глотать отбойную бензопилу и болгарку.
Probably infinitely more dangerous than putting a sword in your mouth, Blackthorne takes it to the next level by slowly lowering a working jackhammer down his throat on live TV.
Я представляю, какая у него там каша, блять, в органах, нахуй.
He might look a little like The Undertaker, but this insane feat thankfully hasn't done him in. Yet.
К счастью.
Well, what do you expect from the world record holder for lifting the heaviest object with his tongue? We still don't know if the jackhammer trick is even real, but for Blackthorne's sake, you have to hope not.
И поскольку я в халате, я отправляюсь вас в больницу.
Thank you.
А не надо в больницу, мне все охуительно.
Number 8. Coin in arm, Chris Angel.
Все, вызывайте скорую.
This trick definitely isn't for the faint of heart. Chris Angel, the same magician who rips people's bodies in half and raises people from the dead, doesn't disappoint with this stunning act of self-mutilation. After swallowing a raises people from the dead, doesn't disappoint with this stunning act magician who rips people's bodies in half and raises people from the dead, doesn't disappoint with this stunning act of self-mutilation. After swallowing a coin, Chris makes it flow down his arm until he uses a knife to cut his skin and take it out, blood and all, to show it to his disturbed audience.
YouTube такое не любит.
Maybe this trick works so well because it's so hard to watch without looking away. We know Chris walked on water like a modern messiah, but the coin trick is more imaginative, and the shock factor alone is enough to give it a spot on this list.
Is that your signature?
Yeah. No way. You're crazy.
Number 7. Dove Act, Lance Burton.
Итак, кого любите жареного голубя?
Let's face it, when people think of the typical magician, they picture Lance Burton, or at least someone who looks just like him. And this entry is just what you imagine when you hear the word magic. No delays, no banter, just intense music and continuous sleight of hand. Burton performs a series of tricks involving live doves, playing cards, and fire. But don't worry, no animals were injured in the making of this illusion.
Она просто исчезла.
You will most likely be baffled throughout most of the fast-paced tricks, but you'll be kept wondering, where the hell does he keep those birds? If you want to see a
невидимом пространстве.
Classic act that brings you back to the golden days of magic, then Lance Burton's dub performance is for you.
Лети нахуй.
Number 6. Spitting up a live frog, David Blaine.
A small creature that can fit in the palm of Drake. You don't know what.
David Blaine. Number 6. Spitting up a live frog, David Blaine.
A small creature that can fit in the palm of Drake. You don't know.
Qua, do you love me?
Ah, yes.
Small creature that can fit in the palm of Drake. You don't.
Бля, всего один сезон, нахуй.
Ah, yes, David Blaine, an illusionist so unbelievable, people have accused him of calling on the forces of the underworld to perform magic. Setting loose live frogs from within his body seems to be the wrong way to deal.
Эй, Дрейк, на, лягушка. Сегодня среда, мои чуваки.
With those accusations.
Oh, disgusting!
Drake, Dave Chappelle, and NBA player Stephen Curry get hysterical, but mostly disturbed when Blaine leans back and hocks up a living, moving frog into their champagne glasses. And he does this 3 times. The frogs even try to escape. Maybe Blaine does have some deal with the Dark Lord after all.
Wait, hold on. Steph, come here. Is my mouth empty? Look, Steph. Is my mouth empty?
Number 5. Tiny Plunger, John Armstrong.
Alright, watch.
Вантус.
Thank you.
So, how did John get...
Alright, watch.
Охуительно. Нихуя не понял, но очень интересно. Светлая память тому чуваку, который это сказал.
Thank you.
So, how did John get his Armstrong? By playing with his tiny plunger, of course. Penn and Teller loved every second of this performance, which first sees Armstrong lifting numerous cards at the same time with a plunger.
You can do it, buddy. You can do it. Oh, tiny plunger.
It gets even crazier when the magician lifts up the exact number of cards called for and even cuts the cards with the plunger on a precise card that's unknown to the magician, but which someone previously chose.
The order of the deck, so he should be able to do the following. Oh, come on!
Armstrong brings his unique brand of comedy to the act, keeping us entertained and possibly distracted throughout. But maybe it's not him who should get the credit. As he tells us, it's the plunger doing all the work.
Я просто вдохновил Поршень.
I don't think they have the faintest idea yet how you did that. So you're in with a good chance, I think.
Number 4. Chinese water torture cell, Harry Houdini. One of the most famous magicians of all time brings us this unfortunately named trick. Invented in 1911 in England and having absolutely nothing to do with China, this act was one that Houdini routinely performed throughout the remainder of his career.
This was invented by Houdini as a really nasty escape. This was a sealed unit. There was no false bottom. It had water in it, maybe up to here.
Restrained by his legs, suspended from above, and then slowly dunked into a chamber of water seems torturous enough. But Houdini, known for his escape routines, would always come out unscathed. Houdini made it a mission to call out frauds at the time, so maybe this escape isn't an illusion at all, and he was actually in danger whenever he performed this trick.
Интересно, смог бы Гудини сейчас разоблачить людей, которые сняли третью иллюзию обмана? Не, серьезно, кому нахуй нужен был 3-й фильм?
But that's just what we expect.
Я первые 2 не смотрел. Но говорят, что франшиза-то не очень.
From one of the greatest
Нахуя 3-й фильм?
escapologists and stuntmen to have ever lived.
Him holding his breath wasn't a trick, though.
No, not at all.
Number 3. Head removal, Cyril Takayama.
My best number each is
If you ever hear this magician say, "Let me just clear my throat," you should run far away. Well, unless you want to see a man's head suddenly drop down to his stomach area, where he catches it and then painfully places it back on his shoulders.
Вы думаете, только у нас самая безумная реклама? Ха! Оп, нахуй!
It's even scarier when he decides to walk toward you with with it in his hands, like on his Japanese show. We have no idea how he does this. His clothes stay at their regular height, but his neck is just gone.
Football, it has its ups and downs. There's the weather, should have brought a coat.
It's certainly one way to make an impression. Number 2, Invisible Man, David Copperfield. Since he's one of the most successful magicians in history and holder of 11 Guinness World Records, we don't know why David Copperfield would ever want to make himself invisible. After a lighting effects demonstration which shows lasers causing sparks on his clothes, he gets his 2 lovely assistants to cover his midsection as he somehow separates himself in 2.
Человек-запеканка.
Moments later, we see him separate himself in 2 again, except this time his body isn't covered and he's able to hold onto his legs and walk alongside his torso. We're pretty sure there's either a top half or bottom half that's invisible here, right? Copperfield making the entire Statue of Liberty disappear is remarkable, but in accordance with this list, this trick is crazier.
Before we continue.
Number 1. Bullet Catch, Penn and Teller.
We need 2 people who know guns, preferably
Нам нужно твоя чела с пистолетами.
handguns.
While the trick itself is old, Penn and Teller have been performing it since the 90s, introducing their own brand of humour to the act. Audience members sign their initials on bullets that are placed into separate guns. Penn and Teller then shoot at each other, coming up with the other's bullet in his mouth. And while it's easy to dismiss this as just an illusion, the trick has actually killed or wounded numerous artists over the decades. The elevated risk of danger and the sheer badassery of catching a bullet in your mouth is
Ну, блядь, долбоёб, конечно, которые это повторяют, вы... Ну, конечно, да, блядь. Как сказал бы ты, 2х2, пурум-пурум, блядь.
enough to give this trick our top spot.
Never point a gun at anything unless you intend to destroy it.
А те, кто повторяет наш трюк, тупые долбоёбы.
So, which magic tricks blew your mind?
Ну, с монеткой был пиздатый фокус.
Let us know in the comments below.
Not only you're a great football player, you are a wizard.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out.
Есть как понравилось, я ставлю лайк, и вы ставьте лайки. Подписывайтесь на канал, жмите на колокольчик, чтобы не пропускать новые видео. Пишите комментарии, залетайте в телегу. С вами был Александр. Всем спасибо за просмотр, всем пока.